Tea all started with a whisper, a rumor floating through Atlanta's nightlife like smoke after a fire. Bambi was glowing, they said, but it wasn't the kind of glow that came from fame or fresh success. It was something deeper, something new. Word spread fast that Bambi might be pregnant, but not by Scrappy. The cameras had barely started rolling for season 13 when everything began to unravel. A mysterious man seen by her side, quiet dinners and secret meets. Fans speculated, friends whispered, and enemies smiled. The ATL streets were buzzing. Was Bambi really starting over with someone new? Or was this just another love and hip-hop illusion? One secret about to explode on camera. Because in Atlanta, love never stays private, and every heartbeat comes with a headline. The night was calm in Atlanta, but the energy was anything but peaceful. The cameras had returned. The lights were back on, and love and hip-hop. Atlanta season 13 was officially rolling, but this season didn't open with celebration or reunion. It opened with whispers. The crew had barely unpacked their gear when everyone's phone started buzzing with the same message. Did you hear about Bambi? At first, no one believed it. Bambi had been through her share of heartbreak, especially with Scrappy. The world had watched their love rise, fall, and crack under the pressure of fame and betrayal. Their fights had become memes. Their silence had become louder than words. When the last season ended, Bambi swore she was done with drama. She wanted peace, healing, a new chapter. But the truth is, peace rarely lasts long in Atlanta. When Rashida got the message, she was sitting in her boutique, sipping an iced coffee, scrolling through fan comments. Someone had sent her a screenshot of Bambi holding hands with a tall man outside a luxury restaurant in Buckhead. The caption was explosive. Bambi spotted with her new man, ATL's new power couple. Rashida didn't know whether to smile or sigh. She had always liked Bambi, but she also knew how the streets could twist a picture into poison. Within hours, Yundi heard too. She was at a charity event when Carly Red leaned over and said, with that signature smirk, "Girl, you heard. Bambi out here with a whole new man. And I heard she's glowing for real this time." Yundi froze. "Glowing," she repeated like pregnant glowing. Carly just shrugged, her eyes full of mischief. "You didn't hear it from me, but the camera's about to catch a storm." By the next morning, the gossip blogs had exploded. Headlines screamed across social media. Bambi pregnant. Mystery man revealed in ATL. Scrappy reacts to Bambi's new relationship. Sources say he's furious. Bambi hadn't spoken publicly yet, but the silence was louder than any denial. Her last post on Instagram, a simple mirror selfie with a faint smile and the caption, "New Beginnings," had nearly broken the internet. The comments section was a battlefield. Some fans cheered her on, saying she deserved happiness after everything with Scrappy. Others accused her of moving on too fast. But buried in those comments was one question everyone was asking. Who is the new boyfriend? The cameras caught up with Bambi 2 days later at a recording studio. She looked calm, collected, and more radiant than ever. But her eyes gave away something deeper, a mix of fear and freedom. When the producer asked if she was ready to film, she smiled faintly. "I've been ready," she said. The scene opened with Bambi sitting in front of a vanity mirror, fixing her hair while a soft R&B instrumental played in the background. She took a deep breath, looked straight into the camera, and finally spoke. "People love to talk," she said softly. "They'll say anything when they don't know your story. But sometimes, when you've been through enough pain, you stop caring what people think. You start living for you. Her voice trembled, but it wasn't weakness. It was release. For years, she had carried the weight of her marriage, the public fights, the constant judgment. Now, for the first time, she was standing on her own. The producer leaned in and asked, "Bambi, are the rumors true? Are you expecting?" She looked away for a second, smiled, and placed her hand gently on her stomach. The room went silent. "I'm happy," she finally said. "That's all I'll say for now. I'm happy." The clip instantly became the most replayed moment of the episode. Fans froze the frame, zoomed in, speculated, and analyzed every word. Was that a confirmation or just a tease? The mystery only grew deeper. Later that evening, Jacques and Kendra hosted a small get-together, the first official cast meet of the season. The tension was thick, even before Bambi arrived. Yandi and Carly were whispering. Rashidita was scrolling her phone trying to avoid drama. And Scrappy, who wasn't even on the guest list, showed up anyway. He walked in with that same energy he always had. Cool on the outside, chaos on the inside. Everyone turned to look. The room fell quiet. The camera zoomed in, and the producer whispered, "We're rolling." "Where is she at?" Scrappy asked, his voice sharp. "Where Bambi?" No one answered. Rashidita tried to calm him down. "Scrap, maybe you should." "Nah," he cut her off. "She out here macking me, looks stupid on national TV. If she pregnant, I got a right to know what's going on." And just like that, the drama was officially back. Moments later, the door opened. Bambi walked in, wearing a white fitted dress, glowing under the studio lights. Her smile calm but unshakable. Scrappy froze. The two locked eyes. No words, just years of pain hanging in the air between them. The silence broke when Carly whispered under her breath, "Well, this just got real." Everyone held their breath. The camera zoomed tighter. Bambi took a step forward. Scrappy clenched his jaw. "Bam," he said quietly. "Tell me it ain't true." Bambi sighed, looked around the room, then met his eyes. "It's true that I'm happy," she said. "And it's true that I'm done living for everybody else." Her voice cracked just slightly at the end, but she didn't look away. Scrappy shook his head, his eyes glistening with a mix of anger and heartbreak. "You really moving on like that? After everything?" Bambi blinked back tears. "After everything," she said, "because I had to." For me, the room fell silent again. Not the kind of silence that ends quickly, but the kind that hangs heavy. Rashida looked down. Yandandi sighed. Jock rubbed his head and whispered, "Damn." The producers knew they had gold. The kind of emotional storm that love and hip-hop fans lived for. But this time, something about Bambi's calmness felt different. She wasn't fighting. She wasn't performing. She was just free. And as the cameras panned out, the music swelled, and Bambi turned away, placing her hand once again on her stomach. One thing was clear. Season 13 had just begun, and Atlanta was not ready for what was coming next. The following morning, Atlanta woke up buzzing. Every blog, every podcast, every YouTube channel was replaying Bambi's quiet words. "I'm happy." It was just 2 words, but to the fans, it sounded like a full confession. Screenshots flooded Instagram. TikTok edits spun the scene into slow-motion heartbreaks, and fan pages began debating the mystery man behind her glow. Rashidita sat at her kitchen counter, phone in hand, scrolling through comments until she sighed. "These people act like they've never seen a woman move on," she muttered. Kirk, sitting across from her, raised an eyebrow. "You know how they get, babe. They live for the drama." Bambi trending means the rating's about to go crazy. Rashidita shook her head. "Yeah, But it's more than just views this time. She looks different, happier. I just hope whoever this new guy is, he's real with her. Meanwhile, across town, Yundi was meeting with Carly Red at a quiet brunch spot. Carly, ever the gossip queen, couldn't wait to spill what she'd heard. "So, I got tea," she said, lowering her voice, but not her excitement. "The dude's name is Marcus. He's from LA, a music producer. Word is they met at a studio session months ago, before the separation was even final." Yundi's eyes widened. "Marcus from LA, the one who worked with Tama last summer." Carly nodded with a sly smile. "That's the one. Girl, I told you Atlanta about to shake." Yundi sighed and stirred her coffee. "Bambi doesn't need more noise. She needs support. You remember how hard it was for her last season? The postpartum, the online hate, Scrappy's mess. Online hate Scrappy's mess." Carly cut her off. Yeah, but people tune in for me. Without it, there's no show." Yundi leaned forward, her tone softer but sharper. "There's a difference between a show and a woman's real life, Carly. And this one looks real." That afternoon, Bambi was back in front of the cameras, this time at her home. The crew moved quietly, almost respectfully as she opened up about everything. "I don't owe anyone an explanation," she began. "But I also don't want people thinking this happened overnight. I didn't wake up one day and decide to move on. I cried, I healed, I forgave. And then I finally let go." Her voice trembled just slightly. "Scrappy will always be part of my story, but I can't keep living in the same chapter." She paused, looking down at her hands, and then smiled. "And yes, there's someone new. He's kind, he listens, and for the first time in a long time, I feel seen." The producer asked carefully, and the pregnancy Bambi looked at the camera with calm certainty. "It's true. I'm expecting." There was no hesitation, no tears this time, just peace. Within hours of the confession airing, the internet exploded again. Bambus Peaks was trending worldwide. Screenshots of her serene expression circulated with captions like "a woman reborn" and "the globe we all needed." But not everyone was cheering. Scrappy saw the clip too, and his silence said more than any post could. He hadn't spoken publicly since the confrontation, but inside he was breaking. In the studio later that night, he sat with Jock and poured out the weight he'd been carrying. "Man, ain't mad she moving on," Scrappy said, staring at the floor. "I'm mad she moving on without me. You feel me? We've been through wars together. Now she just gone." Jock, always the voice of uneasy reason, nodded slowly. "Sometimes that's how love ends, bro." Quiet, when the camera stopped rolling, Scrappy exhaled deeply, his eyes glassy. She was my piece, even when it was chaos. Now she got somebody else calling her queen. For a moment, the room went still. The only sound was the beat playing through the speakers. Soft, melancholy. "Maybe you should talk to her," Jock finally said. "Not on camera, just man to man." Scrappy nodded, but everyone knew that kind of talk rarely stayed off camera in Atlanta. The next day, a producer arranged a coincidental meetup at a small event in Midtown. A lunch party Rashidita was hosting. Everyone from Yundi to Carly was there. Laughter, champagne, and tension mixed in the air. The crew had their cameras ready, hoping lightning would strike twice. And it did. Scrappy walked in halfway through the event, dressed in black, eyes locked on one person, Bambi. She was standing near the bar, wearing a soft pink dress, her hand resting gently on her stomach, as she laughed with Rashida. The sight hit him like a wave. He hesitated, but the cameras were already rolling, so he approached. "Bam, said quietly. She turned, surprised, but composed. Scrap! I ain't come to start nothing, he began, voice low. I needed to see you hear it from you. Bambi looked at him, eyes soft. You already did on camera. That ain't the same, he said, shaking his head. You tell in the world before you tell me that hurt. Her voice wavered. Scrappy. I tried, but every time I reached out, it turned into a fight. You know that. He exhaled slowly, eyes glistening. So, it's true. You moving on for real? Bambi nodded. For real? The crowd around them pretended not to watch, but every eye was fixed. Even Carly stopped mid-sip. I'm happy for you, Scrappy finally said, though the tremor in his voice betrayed the lie. Thank you, she whispered. For a moment, the tension softened. It was painful, yes, but honest. Two people finally accepting the end of something they once thought would last forever. As Scrappy turned to leave, Rashida stepped forward and wrapped her arm around Bambi. You did good, girl, she whispered. You stood your ground. But as the camera panned closer, Bambi's expression wasn't triumph. It was bittersweet, the look of someone who got what she wanted, but lost what she once prayed for. Later that night, she sat alone on her balcony, the city lights flickering below. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Proud of you, babe. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. She smiled softly and placed the phone down beside her, then rested both hands on her stomach. For the first time in a long time, she whispered, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And as the music swelled beneath her words, the screen faded to black. The beginning of a love story that Atlanta never saw coming. Days passed, but the storm in Atlanta hadn't settled. If anything, it was only gaining force. Every entertainment blog had Bami's face on its homepage. The fans weren't just watching the show anymore. They were living it. The streets of ATL were echoing with speculation, jealousy, and questions. Who was Marcus really? Was he ready to be a stepfather? How long had this been going on? And most importantly, was Scrappy truly out of her life? Bambi stayed silent. No interviews, no tweets, no explanations. Just short, simple Instagram captions. Peace over everything. Healing in progress. Thank you for the love. Each post had millions of views, thousands of comments, and an entire fandom building around her new strength. Meanwhile, the love and hip-hop cameras kept rolling. This time, they followed Bambi and Marcus together for the first time. The producers knew exactly what they were doing. It was the moment fans have been waiting for. The episode opened with Bambi walking into a dimly lit restaurant. The camera caught her reflection in the window. Elegant, calm, glowing. Marcus stood up from the table, tall and smooth in a designer jacket. His expression a mix of love and quiet confidence. You look beautiful, he said as she approached. Bambi smiled softly. You always say that because it's always true. Their chemistry was undeniable, the kind of connection that didn't need words. But beneath the smiles, tension lingered. They both knew the world was watching. So Marcus began carefully. You okay with how everything's playing out? The show, the blogs, the noise. Bambi exhaled, glancing away. It's lot. I knew it was coming, but still seeing my life become everyone's headline again. It's exhausting. Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. You've been strong through worse. You don't owe nobody your peace. She smiled faintly, her eyes glassy. That's easy to say, but harder to live by. Especially when you've got a past like mine. Marcus leaned in, his tone soft but certain. Your past made you the woman I fell for. The camera lingered on their hands. Fingers are intertwined. steady and sure. It was the moment the world saw that this wasn't just a rebound. This was real. But elsewhere in the city, not everyone was smiling. Scrappy was back in the studio again, this time alone, the microphone hanging in front of him like a mirror. He hadn't recorded in weeks, but tonight, something inside him finally broke free. He pressed record and started rapping. Not about fame or money or a TL life, but about her, about pain, about losing the one thing he thought was forever. Used to call her my peace, now she my storm. Tried to hold her down, but she done transformed. Said love was forever, now she gone reborn. Guess a king don't matter when the queen moves on. His voice cracked halfway through, but he didn't stop. The track was raw, emotional, real. A confession disguised as music. When he was done, he sat there for a long time, eyes closed, letting the silence swallow him whole. The next day, Jock stopped by his studio. "Man, I heard that track," he said, shaking his head. "That's pain, bro. You can't fake that." Scrappy didn't look up. "It's the only way I know to say what I can't say to her face." "Then maybe you should," Jock said quietly, "before it's too late." That evening, the production team arranged another cast gathering, this time at Yandi's charity gala. Everyone looked stunning, the energy glittering but tense. It was one of those nights when smiles hid secrets. Bambi arrived late, escorted by Marcus. Her entrance turned every head in the room. Even the camera slowed its pan as she walked in, holding his arm with quiet pride. Yandi rushed to greet her, all smiles but curious eyes. "Girl, you glowing even more in person," she teased. Bambi laughed. "Guess happiness looks good on me." But just as the crowd began to relax, Scrappy walked in. The music seemed to dim instantly. His eyes went straight to Bambi, then to Marcus. The producers exchanged glances. They could feel a scene brewing. Scrappy approached slowly, steady but tense. "Bam!" he said with a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You really out here bringing him to our world, huh?" Bambi inhaled deeply. "This isn't your world anymore, Scrap. It's mine too." Marcus stayed quiet, respectful, but ready. Scrappy nodded slowly. "You're right, but I'm gonna say this once. I hope you know what he's signing up for, 'cause ATL love don't come easy." Marcus extended his hand. "I'm not here to replace nobody. I'm just here to love her, right?" Scrappy looked at his hand for a moment, then shook it. Not warmly, but respectfully. "Cool," he said. "Just keep it real." The tension broke, but only slightly. As Scrappy walked away, Yandi whispered to Carly, "Did that just happen? Did we just witness growth in ATL?" Carly smirked. "Don't jinx it, girl. It's only episode 1. Inks it, girl. It's only episode 1. Later that night, Bambi and Marcus left early. The cameras followed them to the parking lot, where the city lights reflected off the wet pavement. "You handled that well," Marcus said, opening the car door for her. Bambi smiled faintly. "I had to. The old me would have snapped. But this me, she's different." As she sat in the car, her phone buzzed. A text from Scrappy. "Take care of yourself for real." She looked at the message for a long moment before replying, "You too." Then she put her phone away, took a deep breath, and whispered to herself, "New season, new story." The camera zoomed out slowly as the car drove away, fading into the Atlanta skyline. The music swelled, soft, emotional, powerful. This wasn't just another episode. It was a transformation, and everyone watching knew Bambi's story had just begun a whole new chapter. Days turned into weeks, and what started as gossip had become a full-blown cultural moment. Every fan, blogger, and podcast in Atlanta, was talking about one thing: Bambi's new beginning. The pregnancy announcement had transformed her into something more than just another cast member. She'd become a symbol of growth, of survival, of a woman reclaiming her peace in front of the world that once tore her apart. But behind the cameras, things weren't as smooth as the edits made them seem. With every post and every headline, Bambi felt the pressure mounting. The same fans who once cheered for her were now demanding to know every detail. Who was Marcus? Was Scrappy really out of the picture? Would she and Marcus make it to the next season together? Inside her quiet Atlanta home, Bambi sat by the window, scrolling through her phone, the screen glowing against the night. The messages were endless. Congratulations, hate, curiosity, advice from strangers. She put the phone down and took a deep breath, resting a hand on her belly. I didn't ask for fame, she whispered to herself. I just wanted to be loved, right? Marcus entered the room, his expression soft. You're okay? She nodded slowly. Yeah, just thinking about how fast everything changes. He walked over, knelt beside her, and kissed her hand. You deserve good changes. You've earned them. She smiled, but her eyes glistened. It still scares me. Being judged, being doubted, being compared to who I used to be. Marcus squeezed her hand gently, then stopped letting them define you. You're not the woman they gossip about on the blogs. You're the woman they wish they could be. She laughed lightly, shaking her head. You always know what to say. 'Cause I mean it, he said. You're not living for cameras anymore, Ambi. You're living for yourself, and for that little heartbeat we're about to meet. Her smile softened, and a tear slipped down her cheek. I never thought I'd get here. I thought my story ended when Scrappy and I fell apart. But maybe that was just the beginning. The next day, filming continued, and for the first time, the show's tone felt different. Instead of the usual chaos, there was quietness, a rare kind of peace that love and hip-hop hadn't shown in years. Bambi was filmed at a prenatal checkup, surrounded by her close friends, Rashida and Yandi. Yandi held her hand as the doctor smiled. You're doing great, Bambi. The baby's healthy. Bambi exhaled in relief, her eyes lighting up. Rashidita wiped a tear from her own. Girl, you glowing for real now. This ain't drama. This is destiny. Everyone laughed, and for a moment, the cameras captured something real pure joy. But the peace didn't last long. A few days later, Carly Red stirred the pot again when she went live on Instagram, claiming she'd seen something that could change everything. Within minutes, her cryptic post was reposted across blogs. Fans speculated wildly. Was Marcus hiding something? Was Bambi's new love story already cracking? When Rashidita saw the post, she called Bambi immediately. Girl, tell me you've seen this mess Carly talking about. Bambi sighed, rubbing her forehead. Of course, she had to do this now. Don't let it get to you, Rashidita said. You know how Carly moves. She'll see peace. She'll poke it till it screams. Bambi managed a tired smile. I know. I'm not giving her the reaction she wants. And she didn't. When the producers tried to stir drama for the cameras, Bambi refused to bite. Instead, she turned to the lens and said calmly, I'm not feeding negativity. Not anymore. I'm focused on what matters. That clip went viral in hours. Fans called it the most mature moment in LHHL history. Even Carly backtracked, posting an apology video days later. Meanwhile, Scrappy, quietly watching all of this unfold from a distance, found himself feeling something unexpected. Not bitterness, not regret, but peace. In one of his confessionals later that episode, he said, I spent so much time trying to fight for somebody who was already gone. But maybe that's okay. Maybe she was never mine to keep, just mine to grow with." The comment section erupted with emotion. For the first time, fans weren't taking sides. They were rooting for both of them. Growth had become the new drama. Weeks later, the season finale of episode 1 aired with one final scene. A soft, slow montage of Bambi and Marcus preparing for the baby. The camera followed them through a sunlit park, their hands intertwined, laughter echoing through the air. Rashida's voice played over the scene, narrating like an older sister who had seen it all. Sometimes love don't end, it just changes shape. Sometimes the person who broke you was also the one who taught you what you truly deserve. And when that lesson's learned, you rise stronger, softer, and wiser than before. As the music swelled, Bambi turned toward Marcus and whispered, "You ready for this?" He smiled more than ever. She looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for not judging my past." He kissed her forehead. "I didn't fall for your past, Bambi. I fell for your strength." The screen faded to black, the final words appearing in elegant white text to every woman starting over. "Your story isn't over. It's just getting good." The credits rolled, and the internet exploded once again. But this time, it wasn't about scandal. It was about redemption. Fans filled the comments with love quotes and admiration. Even Scrappy reposted a clip on his story with the caption, "Proud of her growth. No bad blood, just blessings." For the first time in years, Atlanta wasn't divided. The cast, the fans, the city, everyone agreed on one thing: was a new era. And as the final shot showed the Atlanta skyline glowing under the sunset, the narrator's voice echoed one last time. In a city built on drama, sometimes the loudest story is the quietest kind. A woman choosing peace over pain, love over fear, and life over the past. This is Bambi's new beginning. And that was the beginning of something new. Bambi's journey reminds us that no matter how public the pain, no matter how loud the world gets, healing is still possible. She walked through heartbreak, betrayal, and judgment with her head high, and somehow she found peace on the other side in the world of love and hip-hop Atlanta, where cameras chase chaos and secrets turn into headlines. Moments like these remind us that behind every storyline is a real heart still trying to heal. Bambi didn't just rewrite her chapter. She turned the page on everything that tried to break her. But Atlanta never sleeps, and neither does the drama. With season 13 just beginning, what comes next could shake everything again. Will Bambi's new love stand the test of fame? Will old flames return? And how will the rest of the cast react when the truth about Marcus finally comes to light? Because if there's one thing we've learned in this city, every happy ending is just a new beginning in disguise. So, if you felt this story, hit that like button, subscribe to the Story Vault, and share your thoughts below. Do you think Bambi finally found the love she deserves? Or is another storm waiting around the corner? Your comment could be featured in the next episode breakdown, so don't miss it. Until next time, remember in Atlanta, love might fade, but the story always continues.